you mentioned labels are distorting our view of the world and our place in it. And in today's digital age, with the prominence of social media, kind of how can we work to move beyond these imposed labels and cultivate authentic self-representation?
I don't know how you do it unless you have an identity.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it unless you're focusing on what you're doing, which is to find out who you are, working on that every day, right? Because it takes a while, and figure out what you do well, and to do it over and over and over to where you become an expert in your field, so that you can outdistance everybody else who are doing what? What are they doing? They're not going anywhere for the most part because they're stuck in a mindset. And so, again, when you start to change the learning system around where everything becomes relevant to building value, then you're not stuck in that box. You're able to not be defined by the labels or how other people see you, but the only thing that's important, because I use this in my own life, not being defined by labels, and people try to put me in a box, and especially me, and in regards to my relationship. And so what I try to do is not worry about how other people define me, but how I define myself, and that's what's important.
So speaking of relationships, how do your theories on identity and success apply to couples in relationships where, you can feel comfortable working on your own identity and your own self, but also being a part of a team?
That's beautiful. You said it. So to be able to be comfortable with yourself, be happy with what you do, doesn't have anything to do with somebody else is doing. So you're not jealous, you're not angry, you're not upset because somebody is, more successful than you, or whatever the case may be, because you're happy with yourself. That's what we're talking about.
That makes perfect sense. I think we can all relate to that, right? It's like no matter where you are or who you're with, there's always some sort of, question of, is that person being their authentic self, and do I want to be in this relationship?
And strength being, only the strong survive. That's I always talk about that in my speeches. But you're strong when you're strong. You're not strong because you want to make yourself be strong. You're strong when you do the work. You're strong when you have a vision that you can apply to your life every day. You're strong when you're focusing on what you do well. You're strong when you focus on love. You're strong when you put the 24 hours of work in, and when you're strong when you organize your life. You're strong when you are able to take information and make it relevant to your development. You're strong when you work on your weaknesses. That's when you're strong. You're not strong because you just want to be strong, or just because you think you should be stronger than the other person. So you got to earn the right for that.
Then have there been examples of, and have you used kind of your own principles of identity with?
I couldn't do it. There's no way I could do it or deal with some of the issues I've had to deal with throughout my life without following the 9-step success process. Okay, I follow it. I created it for myself. And what I do is I don't worry about how the world defines me or how other people define me. I work on me.
Yeah.
I develop me so that the more I have, the more I can give. I can contribute more because I'm working on me and building value in my own life. So it's the value you want to build in your own life, not waiting for somebody to give you that, or having somebody else determine your value. Create your own, build your own opportunities, source your own talents, find out what you do well and work on it, and search for it. And then what will happen, you'll develop this process for continuous improvement, and you'll improve, and you'll grow, and you'll develop, and you'll build, and you're pretty much, you're not your circumstances, you are your possibilities because of the work that you put in. It's the work that you do when you work on yourself. So we're just trying to change this around so that you begin to understand the importance of you and how you can begin to build whatever you want based on the work.
And then what do you think is the most like understood aspect of the identity teachings?
Misunderstood?
Yeah,
That it's easy.
right.
It's an easy process to figure out who you are because it's ongoing. It never ends. You always have to improve it. You always have to, you go one level, another level, another level, another level in that process. So it's not me just saying it. When I just say it, find out what you love. You got to find out what you don't love. You got to find out what you don't want to do. You got to, focus on it. You got to actually do it. You might have to work in it. You have to break the mold. You have to go back to that. You spend years and years, and sometimes, in some cases, you may never find it because you have nobody to actually show you how to actually do it, which is why I do this work, is to show people the process for how it's done so they at least can start. It may take you 15 years to get to the point where you're really happy about the work that you're doing.
Right.
It would take you a long time because you got to, look at the work that you do. You got to break this stuff down. This stuff is not easy. Nothing easy about that. You got to show up every day. You got to have a routine. You got to go to meetings. You got to be able to, be creative. You got to have a team to do that. A lot of times, you don't have the wherewithal to have all of that. So you got to build up to that. You got to work on a job you might hate. There's a lot of different pieces, and now you got to deal with social media. You got to deal with all the external world. You got to deal with, work-life balance. You got to deal with family. You got to deal with all of that, and you got to be able to balance all of that.
And because identity is such a personal, introspective journey, how do you see it functioning in the context of societal changes and society as a whole?
It's a lonely place because, you got 99% of the people who pretty much don't have one. And, or they don't really understand the value, or they haven't started working on one, I should say. And so you're like in the minority. You're like a, outside force, and it's lonely at the top, when you're, organizing yourself around people who are thinkers, who are doers, who want to make it happen, who are independent in their development and all of that. So it's not a crowded field for the most part. So when you begin to produce and organize your own thoughts, and folks are out there playing softball and hanging out at the beach, and you're working.
Yeah.
And when are you working? Will Melman, you're working 24/7 every day. And you're thinking about it all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so that's you got to give up a lot. Sometimes you got to give up your friends and, folks and all of that, but it's worthwhile because you control your own destiny. You can create your own opportunities.
Yeah, and then it, like you said, it creates that feeling of empowerment and confidence and fulfillment. So let's say, maybe you missed that dinner with the folks, but you go the next time and you have more to talk about and you're excited and you show up more positive because you were working on something you loved. Right?
There you go. That's it. That's the freedom everybody wants. And everybody, that's why people are working they want to work at home. Because when they got a taste of working at home, this is what it's like. I can work at home. I can go outside. I can take a break. I can, do some of the things I want. And they don't want to go back in the office.
Right.
So that's the freedom we're talking about, is that we have the ability to be able to decide our own schedule and do some of the things we want to do when we want to do them. And that's the freedom that you get. Now, you're going to work at it. You're going to work for that because you got to eat what you kill.
Right.
And so that's a whole nother ball game.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed the video.
And subscribe and hit the bell for a whole lot more to come.